If you've ever felt the pain of a friend or past client celebrating closing, but it wasn't with you, well, stay tuned. We'll help make sure you avoid that in the future. What's up? JC Agajanian here, broker associate with the Whissel Realty Group at EXP. As usual, we are breaking down the Mastermind from the Fast Forward Network that we are a part of that takes place every Monday morning. Today, we're getting into a couple important topics as usual. First of all, we are getting into the nitty-gritty, the details of sending and receiving referrals. It seems pretty simple and straightforward at face value, but there is more to it than you would expect. The other subject we are getting into is figuring out how to find now business without breaking the bank. A little more focused towards the newer agents, but definitely towards anybody who's looking to put business together without just throwing tons of money at ad spend. So let's get into it. Sending and receiving referrals. Well, first and foremost, the more business you do, the more time that goes by, the more common practice this is going to be for you. And you want to make sure that you're not just jumping into maybe a networking group or a portal that you're a part of and say, hey, who do you know that works XYZ area? And then whoever seems to be mentioned the most or get the most recommendations gets your referral. This referral is a big deal. Every referral is a big deal. Of course, you're going to benefit from it. But the other agent on the other side is going to benefit tremendously. That's another piece of their business that they're going to sell this year. So we need to take it like it's a big deal, right? So instead of just figuring out who people like in general in whatever sphere of influence that you have within the real estate community, it's a great place to start, and it's something that we don't dissuade you from doing, but you should do that and then go ahead and do your due diligence. We should vet the agent, make sure that they are first of all, good at what they do, that they have a track record of success. Hopefully it's listed there for you on Zillow with the amount of homes that they've sold and their client reviews. That is the most basic way you can do it. You want to make sure that they're an area specialist, that they actually work the area that your client wants to be in, or at least are based and have a home base and an office within a 20 to 30 minute range from that area. You don't want to pick somebody because they came highly recommended, but then they're actually, 45 minutes to an hour and a half from the actual market that your client is looking in. Whether you are working with a seller or a buyer, you want to have someone that is intimately familiar with that area. And most of all, you want to make sure that they're a good fit for that client, that they're going to get along together well, that the agent is going to serve the client well, and just do a good job for them. So vetting is going to be like the way that you go about doing your referrals is important. And then once you think you've got the right candidate, you got to reach out. You got to chat them up. You got to find out, are you a team lead with a bunch of agents? You're going to hand this off to somebody else because I want to cater that to how I make this introduction to my client. Or is this, maybe you're part of a small team and you're going to handle it yourself, or you're a solo agent. Whatever the case may be, you want to talk to that agent, figure out who exactly is going to be hands-on with the client and how they're going to conduct business with that client, and then make the introduction accordingly so that it's a smooth and easy handoff. Now, you've made the referral. What next? Well, most of the time, we kind of just make referrals and then forget about it because we're so busy with our own business, and we just hope that money comes in down the road someday. Well, that's not really the best way to do things either. So, the best thing to do is make sure that you set up an expectation that you're going to receive updates, right, from the agent that you're referring business to. You explain what you want as far as a referral fee goes. Don't be afraid to mimic what the big portals are doing out there. There's no rule that says what the percentage has to be in your referral agreement with another agent. So if you're getting hit for 35 these days instead of 25 because things have changed, I think it's fair for you to go ahead and ask for that when you send a referral out, and it's fair for you to give that up when you get a referral in. Of course, everything's up to negotiation, and that's between you and them, but just a little bit of a side note there real quickly. So when it comes to updates, you want to make sure that they know that you're not just going to hand them off and see ya and wait for a paycheck, that you want to at least be aware that we are moving the ball forward and that we're making progress with this client. So you're going to want to follow up least twice a month. You're going to want to get an update, and you're not going to want to just rely on this agent to provide that update, because the same way we are busy with our business day to day, and often forget about getting those updates from other agents, they're busy doing their job as well. And unless they have a great system in place to keep you up to date with the events as the transaction transpires, you're not going to get them either. So you're going to have to reach out. So what do? Well, reach out to them via email is a good way to do it. And if you have, if you're using Gmail, there's a snooze feature where you can have it remind you. So you type the email, send it out. Hey, this is the referral, whatever. And then it comes back and bothers you 2 weeks later. Hey, and then you send it again, or maybe you send a new email. You can use a simple feature like that in Gmail, and that's going to do the trick. At our company, I'm one of 60 plus agents. And so we have a lot of referrals going back and forth all over the country. So what our company team lead did was actually build out a system that does this for us. And we have people that follow up with that agent for us, because there are automations set up. So emails are fired off naturally and without any effort on my behalf. So fortunately, I'm in a team where things like this are done for me. But if you're not, a simple snooze feature on a Gmail, just taking advantage of a little bit of free technology, will definitely do the trick for you. And you don't need to go and build a whole system to do this for you. So make sure you're following up every couple of weeks. And when you get referrals, do the same thing. Most people that are working, and have a CRM that's got every single note and status update and everything that happens within the transaction for their own CRM. And then there's also transaction management software that makes sure that all parties involved, the clients themselves, the TCs, the listing coordinators, anybody else that might need to be involved, the lenders, are being up to date. So just add that referring agent to that system that you're using, and they're going to just be grateful that they've been kept up to date, that they know what's going on. That's what I would want if I was on the referring end and not the receiving end. So when you're on the receiving end, do the same thing. It makes you look super pro, and it's going to give you a better chance of getting that referral from that same person in the future, and maybe from coworkers of theirs that have somebody in our area. So make sure you add that agent to the transaction process, keep them up to date, and just like you would any other client. So that's just some tips and tricks for making sure that you get the most out of referrals, because they do come up a lot and they can be a good source of money. There are plenty of agents out there that are actually scaling back in their production and just focusing on referring business all over the place. And that's the majority of it. So if you treat it right, it can be a nice supplement to your traditional purchase and sale business. So moving on to the second topic that we had, which is getting now business without breaking the bank. Really what we're talking about here is the old tried and true concept of, working with sweat equity as opposed to check equity, right? When you have a fat bank account, you can hire people to do marketing, you can hire people to do mailers, you can hire people to do a lot of things, and then you have the inbound business without it taking too much of your time and your physical energy. Well, if you don't have that nice little war chest set up for you in the bank account, then you got to use sweat equity. And this is primarily plays out with new agents versus old, people just getting in the business, not having a big marketing budget, versus people who've been in the business for a long time and have ongoing cost of business built into their budget, which is a whole nother subject that we can go into one day, which is, how are you running your business? Are you treating it like a business with expenses and predictable financial makeup every month, or are you not? Total side tangent, but that's something for a little food for thought for you on the side. But back to getting now business. The general consensus of the group was to work your network. The first comment was to start with your sphere of influence and dig in. You got to network with a purpose, and you should be honest with yourself. How good are you? Give yourself a scale of 1 to 10. How good are you at working the foundation of your business, your sphere of influence? Are you getting repeat business? Are you getting referral business? Are you getting clients who maybe are first timers that either they're close friends of yours, or maybe they're just acquaintances, but they happen to know that you're the go-to person? Is that happening, or is that never really happening and you're just kind of relying on pay-per-click all the time? It's important. So give yourself an honest rating. And If you're not getting much business from the people that you already know, then there's definitely things you can do to change that. And one of the first things that I would recommend is a simple exercise of making a point every single week to make a networking date, right? So you're going to have lunch, you're going to have beers at happy hour, you're going to have a breakfast, coffee, whatever it is you're going to do, you got to meet at least one person a week. And if you make that a goal, you're going to have 52 new people every year that you've had a closer communication with than you would have otherwise. Maybe you see these people socially and you never really hang out one-on-one, or maybe you see them, at the gym or at church, or there's some event that you know people from, but you've never had meaningful conversation with them. Well, this is a great way to do it. It's very low pressure. Nobody is feeling awkward from you just saying, hey, part of my business is getting to know people. I'm not asking for anything from you. I just would love to chat and get to know you a little bit better. Everyone would love that, especially if you're paying for lunch. So that's a little bit of way to really grow your network. But another way to do it, a little more structured way to do it, well, you can definitely make a system around that, make it structured. But something that we do at our company is, we call them friends and family events. We used to call them client appreciation events, but basically the same idea. It's something that we do 4 times a year. We do it on a quarterly basis, and we drop some cash and we throw a nice party. We actually just this weekend had a fall festival, fall kickoff. We had pumpkin patch, we had face painting, we had tattoos for the kids, we had food trucks out there, we had a cornhole tournament, we had all kinds of stuff that was simply fun in a big park that was centrally located in the county. We fed people, we gave them drinks, we let them have fun, and we didn't ask for anything in return. This is a great way to reach out, to love on the people that have worked with you in the past, to make sure those people in your sphere of influence who know you know what you do, and in our case, know that you're part of a big group that does big things. Don't worry if that's not your case because of what I'm about to say next, but it's just a great way to reach out and give back to these people that you either want to work with or that you have already. More importantly, it's a reason for you to pick up the phone and call these people and invite them to the event. Whether or not they arrive is really inconsequential. This is really part of your annual touch count that you're trying to do to stay in touch with people that are either your past clients or your sphere of influence. So we've got to stay in front of them because people forget about us. And then when it is time for them to make a decision, they're only thinking about what's happened recently. Who do I know? And if it's been a year or two, they may have forgotten about you. So these are the reasons why we got to stay in front of people all the time. If you're not part of a big group that can spend 10 or 20 grand on a party every few months, well, do something that matches where you're at. If you're a solo agent, just building your independent business, you can, throw a happy hour on your deck like I do. I've created a quarterly event that we call Drinks on the Deck. We've got a nice spot at the house. We've got a nice view. It's not that expensive to buy some drinks, throw little appetizers on the table, and say, come on out. We call it small. We call it intimate. We don't want them getting the impression that we are a big event because it's not the same thing that Kyle Whissel, who owns my company and provides a party for all 60 or 70 agents of us at once. This is very different. This is a small thing on purpose, and we make it that way, and it's great. If you don't have a great venue, go to the wine bar. Tell people you're gonna, buy them some drinks, and have some sort of quiet evening networking. Whatever it is, you can do something that is appropriate to your book of business, and you can do it without breaking the bank. These things do not cost too much, but the most important thing about them is that you do it right. You give a nice invitation that's hand addressed in the mail going out. You make sure there's an email, there's a text message, a phone call for you. You're really making sure that you touch base with every one of these people that are invited to this event. And the better you do that, the tighter the bind is going to be between you and these people that you're trying to stay in contact with. And eventually that's going to lead to repeat and referral business. So that is networking and sphere of influence and client appreciation events. Of course, email is going to come into the picture here. Email is free. If you've got a larger database, maybe you've got to use MailChimp and it's not quite free. It's like $30 or $50 a month or something. Not a big deal. But everybody in your database should be receiving email from you, and not just once in a while, and not just the people that are shopping for property. and looking at homes and getting notifications. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about something of value, tools, tips, some informative thing on the market here where we live, at least once or twice a month. So you've got to get an email marketing campaign created. It takes time and energy. It doesn't take too much money. Sometimes, in some cases, no money at all. You can do it straight from your CRM. This is a perfect example of sweat equity versus check equity. You've got to be in touch with these people. This is a foundational piece of any business. And if you're not doing it now, you got to stop and add it to your list and make sure it happens within the next month. And then a final thing that comes up almost every time we have a Monday morning mastermind is the concept of HomeBot. It's a great tool that is very inexpensive that you should add every single client, friend, sphere of influence, past client. Anybody you've got in your database should have, that also owns a home, should have a HomeBot account set up. HomeBot is good about redirecting people to you when they do have questions, but it's every month they're going to get an update. And it's not just this is what we think your home is worth, because they could go to Zillow or Trulia or Realtor or Redfin or anywhere else and find that. But it gives them what we like to think is a little bit more accurate version of what that home is worth, in addition to things they can do, like, with a few questions from the client in HomeBot, it'll know how old their mortgage is, if they're a good candidate for a refinance, how much equity if they've got, if they should take advantage of that. And it gives little prompts. And so it's a great tool to put on any homeowner so that if they have a mind of doing something and they're clicking through once a month, they're going to pick up the phone or even just forward something to you and call you and say what's going on. So short and sweet this morning, not too in-depth, but definitely poignant and definitely foundational items for any real estate business. I hope this is helpful. If there's stuff in here that is new to you, I hope you put it into your business and that you implement it and that you get it going, and it's not just a good idea that you heard about, but it's something that you can take advantage of and grow your business by. So that's it. If you've got any questions or would like to talk more, I'm always available. Shoot me a DM right here. And until next week, we'll talk to you soon.